Hello everyone, it's Bandlab album reviewer Ryan here for another review. Today we're reviewing Canadian rapper and singer OTT Twizzy's first Bandlab studio album, PLUTO RAGE. Fun fact, this album has all the features hidden, so you're in for an interesting surprise. Let's start with track 1, Fiending. Very solid beat to start off with, and a great ad-libs at the start from Twizzy and October, which adds to the overall immersiveness of the song. Twizzy's verse wasn't anything special, but it was good nonetheless. He really just sang his way through the first half of the song. Then you get to October's verse, which he comes in with a clean, hypnotic flow that's able to catch in viewers and listeners. While it's a mid song overall, to be honest. Like Twizzy's part is boring, but it gets better with October, which is good. Let's move on to Sket Pack. This is my favorite song off the album. Everyone's singing was simply incredible. Over the heavenly beat, which is also a rage beat, because this is a rage album. Let's start off with Twizzy. His first verse was a great way to start off with high energy, and then it quickly transitions to a great verse from Louise. His verse was short, but it was like a precursor to the best verse on it. 2 Season. He had the most heavenly vocals I've ever heard on that song. And then, sadly, his verse was pretty short, which then leads into Twizzy's second verse, which was pretty underwhelming and worse than his first, but still decent nonetheless. And then that transitions into the last verse, October, which was simply amazing. I love his vocal performance, and he has a great voice. This is the best song on the album. Next is Demon Time. It starts out with more great ad-libs from Twizzy in October over a crazy beat. Twizzy's verse comes in, and his verse is just a standard forgettable verse where he just sings through his verse with like forgettable lyrics. Then October comes in with another good flow, and then it gets worse in the second half of October's verse when he adds these effects to his verse, and it starts to get weird and then worse. And then, overall, just the song is decent. The next song, My Demons, is interesting because it's the only song that's not rage. It's actually Juice WRLD inspired. This one, Twizzy starts off with a weird flow and a different vocal intake than the last 3 songs. But it actually works. And then Lil Troll comes in with a good verse and a decent vocal performance. Pretty short, and then there's a decently long transition into Next Young's verse, which is he's got a weird flow that doesn't really fit the song, and the song is overall just pretty mid. Track 5, I Miss the Rage, is over the instrumental of MP5 by Trippie Redd, which is already a mid song. But this song is even worse because Twizzy had another mid verse. Smokey X World was pretty bad, and then 2 Season was decent, but forgettable. This whole song is the most forgettable one on the whole album. It's bad. Canela is the next track on the album, and it's easily top 3. The production is great, it's top tier. Twizzy had a decent verse. In fact, it was more than decent. I'd say Twizzy had a great verse. October had another great verse as well. And then Loading had the best verse on the song by far, with his excellent melodies and amazing flows. Now on to Salino. This was the big hit of the album, and also top 3 for sure. It starts off with a beautiful intro before the beat drops, and we get a fire-ass 2 Season hook. Twizzy had another great performance, and this was his best one overall on the whole album. And Louise came back for another short yet memorable verse. I love this song. Next is Bentley. This is where the second half of the album starts, and it only gets worse from here, trust me. Twizzy had the best performance on this track. October had actually a mid verse. Normally his verses are good, but this one was just mid. And then Smokey X World was only just bad on this song. This song is not good. Next up is Where Have You Been? And this is easily the worst song on the album. It's unreasonably long, being like 4 minutes and 30 seconds, somewhere around that range. And Twizzy had his second worst vocal performance on the whole album, and then the feature, IDK John, was also just horrible and mid. This song should not have ever been made. This is the worst song on the track list. Now we have Benz. The beat is okay, and Twizzy had a pretty good hook, but Smokey X World and Brown Boy both had horrible verses. Not to mention Brown Boy was really offbeat the whole time. Horrid song. The next song, Shit Talk, is really bad as well. Twizzy had a horrible verse, Lil Troll also had a horrible verse, and Smokey X World had the worst verse on the song. Please don't listen to this. This is the worst song. Actually, second worst song on the album. Time for the next song, Bags Up. The beat sounds kind of corrosive, and Twizzy's verse was kind of mid. You can barely understand what he says. The only thing that saves this song is Lil Troll's decent verse. It was short, yet decent overall. The song is kind of mid, though, overall. Next is Codeine, and this is easily the best song on the second half of the album. Poop starts off the song with a good verse. He just needs better audio quality. Then comes Twizzy with another mid verse, but this time you can't really hear what he's saying. Then comes Ray Gottlieb with a good verse overall, pretty standard, but October easily carries with his amazing standout verse. Really good song overall. Last up is Tweakin'. This song is almost 7 minutes long. Twizzy had a mid verse for about 30 seconds, and then October comes in. His verse is mid as well. Then comes T-Rex. His verse was actually really good. J Mess comes in next, and he had two mid verses, one after T-Rex and one at the end of the song. Then comes Shadow, who had a good verse. Then Poker Licks was next, and his verse was mid. And then Kappa comes after him, and his verse was easily the best one. But overall, the song was still pretty mid, and the beat was also okay. Time for my overall thoughts on the album. I thought the first half was full of bangers and amazing, but it got worse during the second half. Twizzy had a lot of mid and bad verses. The features really helped him out a lot, and 2 Season mainly carried this album. Overall, I'm feeling a strong 5 to a light 6. Tell me your thoughts on the album down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye.